funny, isn't it? How sometimes as you sit there, quietly listening, the world seemed to soften around the edges, like a river winding through a valley, carrying leaves effortlessly on its surface. And as you notice your breath now, flowing in and out, steady and calm, perhaps you can already sense how easy it is to simply let go, to allow yourself to drift like one of those leaves, guided naturally by the currents. And you know there's a story about a small town nestled between mountains where they say the winds carry secrets. When people visited, they'd pause and listen, really listen to what the air seemed to whisper. It wasn't something you could force, and the harder they tried to catch the whispers, the more elusive they became. And when they allowed themselves to relax, they began to notice things, a sense of knowing without needing to know why. And as those visitors began to notice the whispers, something interesting happened. They started hearing more than just sounds, soft rustles in the leaves, or gentle hum of distant bees. They began to understand the language of connection, a way of tuning in without effort. And you might wonder about that, how often we miss what's right in front of us because we're trying too hard to look. This town was different. The people there learned to trust the process. They'd sit by the river or beneath the shade of an old oak tree, allowing themselves to blend with the environment. And in doing so, they found clarity, almost as though the answers had been there all along, waiting for them to simply listen. One day, a traveller arrived in this town. He was known for his way with words, stories that inspired people, questions that sparked deep conversations. And yet lately he'd felt something missing. He told an old woman who ran a tea shop that he thought his words had lost their magic. She smiled knowingly and handed him a cup of steaming tea. She said it was called the listener's brew. And as he sipped, she shared a story. Once there was a young boy who wanted to sing like the birds. Every morning he'd climb a hill, imitating their songs. The birds never came closer, no matter how perfectly he sang. And then one day he stopped trying. He simply sat, silent and curious. And something wonderful happened. The birds gathered around, not because of his effort, but because of his presence. The traveller nodded, feeling a warmth spread within him. It dawned on him then that communication wasn't just about words, it was about connection. The pauses, the intention, the way his energy flowed between himself and another. And as he spoke, he started to notice something. People leaned in, their faces lit with understanding. They heard him not just with their ears, but with their hearts. And as the traveller continued his journey, he carried that lesson with him, sharing it in every conversation, every interaction. And maybe, just maybe you can sense how in your own life that same effortless connection can arise. And isn't it interesting how the right words seems to find you when you allow space for them? And as you take a deep breath, letting it fill your chest and release slowly, you might feel a gentle awareness beginning to bloom. That understanding, how every pause, every thought, every glance carries a resonance all of its own. And perhaps you've already noticed how easy it is to allow your communication to evolve naturally from this moment onwards. And as you open your eyes, fully awake and alert, you might find yourself smiling at how effortless it all feels now, because you already know how to connect, don't you? Thank you for joining us with our tea, and until next time, goodbye and good mental health.